120 miles per hour. In a sample in there, we're still looking at about 140. So that's the wind field around the eye of Hurricane Michael. Now, you folks up here in Jackson County, you're probably seeing some trees down in a few spots. Between 100 and 120 miles per hour, we're still looking at about 140.
Okay, folks, it's getting real now.
Storm hits Florida. The National Weather Service calls Hurricane Michael the worst case scenario, the strongest ever for the Panhandle.
We're like 3 miles deep in the middle of the woods.
There's no power.
Yeah.
No power at all for about a mile and a half.
Some strange things happen, you know, you think you see things and hear things.
Oh, that's something. We got something.
You do know there was an axe murder where a man murdered his 2-year-old child?
Yes.
Yeah, he's back here.
I gotta go see what this is.
The murder that was here, right where we stand.
Shadow figures off in the woods.
There's no reason for any of these meters to go off.
There's been a lot of people have come and gone along here and through here. They were put in there when Andrew Jackson was marching through.
She had a lot of stories to tell about Florida.
Because it's actually the truth, you know, it's not just, oh, here she was, you know, just jumping around and, you know, jumped off a bridge to her death.
Oh yeah, I get people from all over writing me. I had actually a school kid in China wrote me this week just saying, is it true? And I wrote back and that, yeah, to me it's true. And here's what I know about it. I'm Dale Cox. I'm a local historian and writer. That's what I see in my research. I'm looking for the real story. I grew up hearing this story, you know, when I was a kid and growing up in this area. Everyone knew about the bride of Bellamy Bridge. So it was a big deal when you were a kid to be able to come out here at night. And when I was a teenager, you came out here a lot because it was a really popular spot with teenagers. You could actually drive to the bridge back then.
It was probably 30, 35 years ago when a lot of the kids used to hang out there.
So when I was a teenager, we would come out here and hunt for the ghost all the time. And I was explaining to the guy, well, this is, you know, it's pretty common out. Here's what it does, you know. And they were just like, wow, you know.
You just had to know where this place was. It was one of the unique legends of Jackson County. I'm Pam Fuquay. I'm the executive director of the Jackson County Tourism Department.
Well, I wish I was in the land of cotton. Old times there am not forgotten.
We're proud of our history. You know, that's part of our makeup here.
Well, no, it's fresh. We just run on Chipola River.
We have the Chipola River and the caves and Lake Seminole and the Apalachicola River. We have antebellum homes, which are rare in Florida.
Well, you know, because it has so many roots there and there's so many neat, unique stories. And it's also like a historic area, and as well as this legend of the Bellamy Bridge Bride. People are just raised in Jackson County. That's part of their heritage. That's part of their roots, is knowing this story.
What?
Tracy.
I'm gonna go see what the hell that was.
Every time you go out there, you get that, I guess we'll call it that eerie feeling.
Oh, I can see it.
It's not always scary, but there's just something a little bit different.
Yeah, I see it.
Sometimes I go out there and it's very serene and very peaceful.
Felt it right here by my foot.
I felt it under me.
Other times you think, who's behind my shoulder?
Where was it?
Where did it come from?
No idea where it come from.
I'm out of here.
Yeah, I'm done.
Knowing that it's Bellamy Bridge. Well, I do know the entire story. You know, is that I knew for years that it was just the ghost. The ghost of Bellamy Bridge is that Elizabeth was in her wedding dress and she was dancing at her wedding reception and her dress caught on fire from the candles and she went running to the bridge to jump off it into the river to put the dress out. But we know that now that's not the real story.
It's a beautiful legend, actually. The legend is that Samuel and Elizabeth were very much in love. They were young children of elite society, antebellum society. You got to think Gone with the Wind type stuff here. They were moving to Florida. According to the legend, Samuel built this magnificent mansion for Elizabeth.
Elizabeth lived here in the mid-1800s, and that was at the height of the antebellum era. They were building an antebellum home. Her sister already had an antebellum home.
And they were married in the rose garden of the mansion.
So it just depicts the perfect setting for it.
And Elizabeth made a mistake or created a taboo of that time. She added something to their wedding vows. And what she added was, at the very end of the wedding ceremony, she said, "I will love you forever and always, and never will I leave you." Which, as I tell people, is either very romantic or very creepy, depending upon your point of view about such things. That brought a curse down upon Elizabeth, because in the 19th century, you were not allowed to alter the church's prescribed wedding vows. Well, that night they had a reception. They danced at their reception in the mansion. Elizabeth went upstairs to rest and fell asleep in a comfortable chair. She woke up completely engulfed in fire. Apparently her arm had knocked a candelabra over onto her wedding dress. She rushed down the stairs screaming, right through her own wedding reception, completely engulfed in flames. As she rushed out into the yard, the men chased her down, rolled her on the ground to put out the flames, but she was severely burned. She lingered for 3 days, and then she died. Apparently her last words were to her new husband, "I will love you forever and always, and never will I leave you." And according to the legend, not long after that, Elizabeth began to appear out here in the swamps around Bellamy Bridge and has been seen out here ever since.
If you ever wanted to venture into the paranormal, well, one local group is inviting the public to do just that.
We have many requests to come out here. We limit those. We've allowed the Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts group to come out here.
Yes?
Because I was very impressed with the professionalism with which they approach things.
That thing moves.
I know.
You know, we get sometimes two people in a Volkswagen with a camera who want to come out here.
Silver.
Hello, my name is Crazy.
We started this paranormal team, Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts, about 4 years ago.
I see you trying. Come on.
This is one of the places we wanted to come, just to see what's what.
See, you are angry.
I'm getting angry. We are the yin and the yang.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes, absolutely. And, you know, take the whole team. All of the team have seen things, heard things. You know, Kim, Kenny, Jeff, and Dee.
Dee? My name's actually Deidre. I go by Dee. Deidre is hard to spell and pronounce for some people. It's something I've always wanted to do.
Yeah, like I feel like I have a fever.
The opportunity presented itself. Susan and Tracy stopped by where I worked at the time, and I normally a very shy, private person, but I saw the sign on the side of Tracy's truck that said paranormal investigator. So I kind of got up my courage to go talk to him, and I'm like, could I go with you guys one night, because that would be the greatest thing ever. And I kind of stuck around, and the rest is history.
Because I was impressed with their technique.
Just trying to tighten these cameras down, they end up getting loose a little bit. And just our lights with ink flopping around.
He's probably the most, besides myself, the most reserved member of the group.
Once I get to talking, it's all right.
We feel that they understand what our culture is in the area.
The more we come out here, the more comfortable I think they're going to feel with us, and the more they'll feel apt to showing themselves.
That they're respectful of it, and they're respectful of this place and of the stories that are associated with it.
We've been out here probably 5 or 6 times and have gotten a couple different things that I'll tell you about.
You want to try it again? Okay.
I was looking for an outlet to relieve some of my beliefs in the paranormal. I've had a couple experiences growing up where I couldn't explain things.
Boy, wouldn't that be something?
I was just actually looking online one time of paranormal groups in Panama City, and I came across Tracy's name and Susan's name. Fortunately, it took one for the team. That sucks. And basically, the rest is history. And all of a sudden, we got a ball of light traveling downward.
And we're curious. I mean, they get weird electrical pulses out here. They get things like that. I'd like to know what those things are. We allow them, to come here.
Good deal. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
There you go.
And they've been, for a couple of years now, been doing an extended investigation.
You're awesome. You're awesome. Thank you.
And everything I hear about what they see and they find out here really matches what people in the community say.
Yeah, this guy's not angry. I say we go.
He's not angry?
No, he is angry. I say we go.
I second. When?
Was that a huge wind gust, probably about a good 165. I'm surprised anything's standing up, because that was really bad.
We believe it's possible for there to be paranormal activity. And obviously we were attracted to the Bellamy Bridge because the locals have had so many sightings here.
Whether we, believe in such or don't believe in such or whatever, you can pretty much say Bellamy Bridge and anyone in Jackson County will know what you're talking about. This particular structure is the oldest such in Florida. It was completed and the first vehicles crossed it on December 1st, 1914. Well, they would have had early cars then, and they had horses and wagons, of course, crossed it originally. It was used by cars and trucks all the way up until the early 1960s when the modern concrete bridge was built a short distance upstream. They closed off Bellamy Bridge. The flooring slowly deteriorated and fell out into the river. In fact, when the water is clear, you can look out and actually see the original flooring of the bridge, running across the bottom of the river here. But since then, it's just been kind of a landmark that everyone still comes to see, this old bridge. When we do tours, we have hundreds and hundreds of people.
So we worked it out with Dale that we could come out here and start investigating the bridge.
And come here and relive the story as they take part in these tours.
We truly believe that in a tragic incident, it is possible to have some type of energy or spirit that is stuck behind, stays behind, wants to stay behind, or actually has something that they need to say or get off their chest.
Oh, so you're trying, come on.
Damn. We came up here to investigate the bridge one night, and we just happened to stop right here, and we were just talking about moonshine, this, that, and the other, talking about the event that happened. So we set out some of our gear like we have out here now.
This is called a ghost meter. It's probably about a $10 piece of equipment. comes in any basic ghost hunting kit, is what they call them. I don't like to use the word ghost, I like to use the word spirit. That's just my own thing.
We just started talking amongst ourselves about moonshine. And we weren't talking to the spirit or anything, but we were just talking amongst ourselves. And every time we'd mention the word moonshine, our REM pod back there and the K2 meter would just go on.
There were two cousins and a friend, and they were running moonshine along that road.
There was a real murder that took place here in the early 1900s. 3 moonshiners were arguing over some of their product that had disappeared.
And they were hanging out there all day. They were drinking their moonshine, and one thing led to another as time went on, as they were intoxicated.
And they came down here to discuss it, and very intoxicated and very argumentative with each other, and 2 of them became convinced that the third one had stolen it and sold it himself.
Well, after swimming all day around there, they built a fire as night fell, and the cousin went up to point blank and shot him in the back of the head, execution style. The guy fell just forward right into the fire. To say the least, it was a gruesome murder.
The one guy who did the killing was sent to Rayford prison.
The cousin spent the rest of his life in Rayford, in the state prison down in Stark, Florida.
One of them was a Hart. And the Hart family is still actually very prominent in the area. They're still all around this area.
The third guy, he pled out. He ratted on the guy and he told him his whole story, so he just served a little bit of time.
This actually happened before Prohibition was officially, government policy. And the reason why, they were just selling untaxed liquor, which was a good business. It's no different than people today selling untaxed marijuana, which is a pretty good business too, And according to legend, at a particular spot out here, their spirits are a dark figure or sometimes a light, can be seen out here. I've seen the dark figure. I've seen the dark figure that people talk about. It looks very much like a tall man. In fact, you think it's a man approaching until you really focus on it, then you realize you're seeing a shadow, and then the shadow will dissipate.
That was right here. I took a picture there. It wasn't dark yet. It was still daylight. And I was using my infrared cameras. And we caught an image of either a farmer or a soldier, one of the two. He's standing next to a big tree, and it looks like he's got something in his hands. It's either an axe or a gun, but he's standing there. He's either trying to chop the tree or standing there with a gun. We sent that picture to Dell, and Dell looked at it, and Dell came out here the next day, and he stood at the same place, and he started snapping all kind of pictures, and there's nothing in his pictures that even resemble what I caught. So, who's really to say?
Everyone has seen pictures on the internet of an object, something like in a face in a window or something like that, or Jesus on a piece of toast. This was at the Bellamy Bridge in Marietta. When I posted this one, we had a lot of comments on there, like, "Oh, what is that? It's a bug." That I had my flash on, but. That's how easy it is to manipulate. Can you pull up the Jesus thing, laser grid? And a lot of people were thinking that they could see a face right here.
I don't know if it's an Indian, Spanish, Civil War guy.
I'm sure now that I've pointed it out to you, y'all can kind of see, oh, that looks like, it could be a head and shoulders. And there's a lot to the power of suggestion.
I believe that there's a residual energy up here. And it just walks back and forth, back and forth.
Oh my. There's no way. No freaking way. Am I blocking the camera from seeing that? No.
No.
But you're blocking. Slide over this way because you're blocking the blue thing.
Oh my God. All right, let's try that again.
Oh, Jeff's all proud of himself now.
Do this. Like the bridge, that was the only way in and out of this area way back then. It could have been somebody that stood guard on the bridge and got shot or something, and, you know, who knows? It's like we're all part of one big family. We all feed off each other. The synergy between all of us since we've been working together. As if one of us is sick, one of us is pissed off, you can really tell in an investigation.
I feel like he's angry. Why are you so angry?
Is that everybody here?
Yep. Yeah.
Awesome. So I don't know if you're aware, but we are Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts. We're out of Panama City, Florida.
Hi there.
Hi.
The murder that was here, right where we stand.
According to legend, at a particular spot out here, their spirits are a dark figure or sometimes a light, can be seen out here.
With the moonshiners.
Sylvester Hart.
Thank you, Sylvester Hart. Thank you very much. We believe that it's possible that tragic incidents such as murder.
Down there at the bridge, when y'all get down yonder to the bridge, we've caught some very interesting photographs down there at the bridge.
We think that it's possible that it is a residual haunting here, and that's something that's tragic that plays over and over and over again.
We had one of our millimeters go off, and she goes, "Oh, there's somebody back there. That can't happen." So we walked them back there, and there's nobody back there.
We're half a mile from any type of electricity. So when these meters go off, that's a place where we need to start investigating.
Right again.
There you go.
Dude, you are awesome.
No, I still think it seems kind of random.
Yeah.
Random.
Yeah.
There it just lit up again.
Seems like it goes off every time I say it's random.
Is isolated a little bit. There's been a lot of things happen through the years.
Everybody just thinks that they know the story of the bride. And when they find out more about it, they're like, this is really cool. And even when we go back in history even longer than the Seminole Wars and know that Marcus Delgado crossed that area in 1686, Jackson County has a Spanish heritage trail, and that's part of it.
That's really my specialty, are old roads in this area. Found this remarkable map, dated 1778, done by a British cartographer. I discovered that there were Indian trails shown on this map, one of which went through this area, and I and another partner successfully mapped that thing. It was a 100-mile trail that went from the mouth of Choctawhatchee River up to a point on the Chattahoochee River. It's a 100-mile trail. They call it a trading path. And the British traded with the Indians. They traded beads and garments and other things like that to the Indians. And in turn, the main thing they got out of the Indians were deer skins. This was a trading path.
What tribes, Indian tribes, settled here?
During the trading path days, which would have been the late 1700s, you had Seminoles that had come into this area.
This area was an important area during the First Seminole War and the Creek War. And when they were opening the caverns and they were exploring those caves, there's one section in there called New Cave that they found. There are human footprints in there that are 1,500 years old.
Yeah, that's the old Indians.
Yeah, because there's human footprints, and then there's a bear walked across the footprints, and the bear is extinct. The bear's been extinct for 500 years.
The old indigenous tribes in this area were the Chicatos Indians and the Apalachicola. they call them. Those were the earlier tribe.
The totem pole is a religious symbol. It reminds the artist that Seminoles believe in magic spirits.
Things change. This particular location likely to change because there's so many people in and out of here.
In the early 1700s, the British and their allies, the Creeks, began to invade this area, sweep down from the north.
An initial raid was carried out in this area by a group of U.S. allied Creek warriors or soldiers who were fighting under Brigadier General William McIntosh, and they came here and they attacked the Red Ground Band of Creeks right in the vicinity of Bellamy Bridge. They surrounded their camp, took them all prisoner. 10 of the warriors tried to escape, and they were shot down as they tried to escape.
We were out here investigating down at the bridge, and we kept hearing a sound, and so everybody quieted down. We kept listening. It literally sounded like horses' hooves coming across a wooden bridge. So we thought, well, that's really crazy. Jeff, you didn't fall, did you?
No.
Okay. You okay, Dee?
I'm good. I'm good.
Oh my God.
So the next time we came down here, we heard the same thing, like horses' hooves and a carriage coming across the bridge. Make noise to scare people away.
So I guess you like to frighten people.
2 o'clock in the morning out here? I don't think so.
Is that exactly what you do when people get too close?
You scare the heck out of them? That scared the heck out of me, you know. So that's pretty exciting.
The whole house is shaking. God knows what that is hitting the side of the house, but it'll be over soon. Oh, that's this fence. Our big tree did? Gotta go.
I was a cop for many years. I was in the Air Force. I was stationed up at the Tonopah Test Range in Nevada. It's a Black World assignment.
Originally established as a bomb-dropping range, Tonopah Test Range has gradually developed into an outdoor laboratory facility.
Some really crazy stuff happens up there.
An experimental rocket thrusting aloft a test unit for detailed study, a balloon lifting a test shape to the edge of atmosphere,
like alien lights and stuff like that.
Or a component being subjected to the high acceleration and stopping forces of a controlled field artillery piece.
I was doing security, and I was a security policeman, and we were sitting at Central Command, and my first ever paranormal experience happened when I was watching security cameras. These two guys, two maintenance guys, were in this big hangar, and I could see them go in the hangar, and they stop. And they're looking at something and they're pointing at this thing going up the wall. So we had the ability to pan and tilt the cameras. So I would tilted the camera up and you could see this black form that is like going up the wall. So I said, well, that's pretty cool. So that's where it started.
Channel 7's Byron Khalil tells us how it's all part of their plan to preserve history.
Go into the future now to where we are. Is the TV shows have actually spurred on a lot of paranormal investigators out there. A lot of different TV shows out there now, and I'm sure people sit at home going, man, I wonder what that's really like.
Using special equipment, they can tell if any paranormal activity exists.
But what really put the nail into the coffin, so to speak, was I had a neighbor that lived across the hall from me. She come knocked on my door and she was all panicked big time. And she said, my grandfather's in the kitchen. I said, why? Well, you understand, he died like 2 months ago. So, well, let me go look. So I walked over to her apartment, went to her kitchen, and here stood this. It's an old pair of cotton pajamas, like, I don't want to say old guys, old people wear it, but cotton had the stripes, tied up front, that was standing right there in her kitchen. So I said, hey. Kind of just like moved and then took off. So I went back over to my apartment and told her she had to leave because whatever that was, I didn't want it to come over to my apartment. That started me thinking a little bit. Maybe there's a little bit more to this. I can get a group of people with like-minded people together. You know, experts in little things here, little things there.
Once they got down, it was kind of like a test thing to start with by the Navy. Once it tested, everything worked out like they wanted, and then they come out with Sea Lab 2.
A home for living things, far more akin to us perhaps than life elsewhere, if any, out in space.
Most of the divers and everything that work with Sea Lab, some of their stuff are actually in this museum.
If you get him started on the history of a location, he's like an encyclopedia.
Once they done Sea Lab 2, they had a dolphin that actually was named Tuffy. They used the dolphin to take supplies from the top down to the Sea Lab.
He has it all in his head and he can remember dates and times and facts and figures.
Well, they went from 200 feet down to 600 feet.
Diving station, aquanauts.
There was some issues with Sea Lab 3 when it went down.
Down they go.
And they took all the divers and took them down, and they had leaks. So they had divers go down trying to fix Sea Lab 3. During Sea Lab 3, there was a man, his equipment is actually on the other side in a picture of him. His name was Barry Cannon. And his original setup Mark V suit is actually there. Well, there was an issue with carbon dioxide poisoning, and he ended up dying while trying to fix Sea Lab 3.
That's his forte, is kind of doing all the research and everything.
Pretty much everything in here is from either past Sea Labs or there's stuff in here as old as 1500s.
Can you move it more? Like, can you spin it really fast? Come on, faster than that. That's impressive. Kenny, go for it.
Up here especially, we get some really odd readings. All the meters will go off at one time, and then they'll just quit.
But they're just like in a crevice, and they're like date from 1800. You know,
well, they was just stuck in there.
And what our theory is that they were put in there when Andrew Jackson was marching through, and the Indians were hiding out, and for one reason or another, their muskets got left there.
Yes, that is so good.
Yes.
When you have that many people over the years, it actually energy absorbs into the ground, and you get so much energy built into the ground that you will have just like a release of energy ever so often. And they've actually been pictures out here of shadow figures off in the wood.
My great-grandfather cut wood for the steamboats. Used to carry it down to the landings and, for them to pick up. And then I had another ancestor who was a boat pilot. And so I've always had a big fascination with them, and I spent a lot of time researching the boat wrecks and the disasters and the things that happen.
Well, northwest, we just run on Chipotle River.
There's a lot of history and a lot of mystery about those boats.
Because they had to cut off and to the mouth of the river and then transferred our freight and passengers to and fro on the Callahan.
It was sad, it was sad, it was sad when that great ship went down.
There's a story about the John W. Callahan, which was one of the last big boats that ran on the Apalachicola-Chattahoochee-Flint system.
Then I worked on the Callahan regular from Apalachicola to Bainbridge and piloted on the roof.
She set off from Columbus, and at that time, the song "The Night the Titanic Went Down" was a huge song. You know, yeah.
It was sad when that great ship went down. Sad when that great ship went down.
And the crew were singing that song when the ship went off on its final voyage.
When that great ship went down.
Old sailors will tell you, you don't talk about the Titanic on a floating vessel.
The worst thing I had was being in low water. Sandbars up and down the river.
The water was high and they hit a ferry boat cable and it sheared off the top deck and pilot house of the boat. And they had to repair it. They got it ramshackle kind of repair going. They went on downriver, got close to Weewa, and the boat sank.
Just all three went together, my daddy and my brother-in-law and myself.
Cold ocean cold, now be your home. Sad when that great ship went down.
And the only death was a guy who literally was so terrified he died of a heart attack in the sinking of the boat. They doomed themselves when they set off singing that song. That's also on the site of the Scott Battle, where during the Seminole War, the Seminole attack, 51 people were killed there at that exact same bend of the river because they picked that spot to launch the attack, and they were in a keel boat, which was propelled by oars and a sail. And when they were fired on, the boat piled up onto the bank of the river, and the crew was swarmed. So there's a lot of history and a lot of misfortune at that one little spot on the banks of the river. Yeah, I think one thing that separates these guys from a lot of researchers is that they have an interest in what the real stories are. They're looking for real evidence, and that's what I seek. You know, in my research, I'm looking for the real story. Truth is different, of course, than the story, as is often the case of this. There really was an Elizabeth and Samuel Bellamy. She did not die on her wedding night from a fire, however. They had been married about 3 years when they moved to Florida. Elizabeth died from malaria. Now, what makes this particularly tragic, other than the fact that she was only 18 years old when she died, was that her little baby, Alexander, also had malaria. She died knowing that she was leaving her baby deathly ill behind her. To me, that's a lot of emotion that this young woman went to the grave with. The baby died exactly 7 days later. Samuel, her husband, later committed suicide. He said, "Watch this. If a guy in the South says, watch this, you better watch out because something's about to happen." And they said that Samuel pulled out a straight razor and killed himself by cutting his own throat at Chattahoochee Landing. And so there was originally this story about them, about how she was waiting for him, but then when he committed suicide, he was not allowed to be buried alongside of her. And what happened then was that the local people began to say, she's rising from the grave every night looking for her husband.
There were some unexplained things.
How? How does it do that?
Feeling that there's something there.
You're hearing it too?
There are some unexplained things that happened when we were here the first time.
And we tried different experiments to see if we can narrow what it was down.
You want to tell us, you just have to really concentrate on it.
Our theory that spirits or energy can be attached.
Are you a male?
Weird responses on the meters that we were getting.
Are you female?
Okay, that's not all the lights, that's just one. Try it again.
There you go.
I'm definitely not here to harm you. But I would like to hear your side of the story if you're willing to tell me.
We don't really know what all's back there.
I know dark cloud will hover o'er me.
We're not real sure about if this is actually you or not.
Oh, wow, that's good.
How about that shit? How about that shit?
Okay.
It's kind of interesting. The millimeter lit up, the K2 down here lit up, and the REM pod lit up. K2 in the middle never moved.
It's me. Telling you. Seriously.
You have the Legend of Bellamy Bridge, you have the father-daughter, and then you have these others. So there's all, the spirit mix is there is very, very unique.
There are reports and there are documented cases of something being seen out here in the 19th century, long before the story of the Burning Bride ever became, part of popular local culture.
Looks like we're in the eye wall now. This is my backyard.
We really thought that at one point we were getting hit by a tornado.
Our roof was shaking and moaning, and the windows were rattling, and stuff was just
And there's just
hitting the
so
house.
much pressure.
The chicken coop frame is completely bent.
If you look out your windows, all you see is white.
My neighbor's tree is down, his fence is down.
They described hearing the demons in the wind, hearing the hurricane.
The whole house is shaking.
Because of me doing the paranormal stuff, I'm not that much of a religious kind of guy. But I tell you what, that day, I was praying for it to be over.
He was. For 2 hours, please, God, stop. Please, stop. Over and over and over again.
Come here.
Not on their house.
Get in the house.
Not on their house. Oh, good. Time for us to go in. Big tree.
Just imagine complete silence. After everything was over, we kind of started coming out. Like, now you can hear a bird somewhere, you can hear insects. There's just nothing.
It was for a month, 2 months. You didn't hear a cricket.
There's no road noise.
Probably about an hour after the storm passed, and we were actually able to go outside. And everybody, when we came outside, everybody else was outside. Everybody's walking around like zombies. I mean, like zombies. I had no idea what they're doing. And this is the backs. This is the back of their house. And I'm sorry, you can't tell me that this didn't happen with a tornado. Now, backyard, picture lush woods was our backyard. About 20 minutes, it was gone. Gone. I mean, everything was gone. Everything.
You see that much destruction, you're just like, how is all this going to get put back together?
As soon as it was safe to go outside, and we started walking down the street and water up to over our knees, and walking down the block and seeing just houses toppled, roofs caved, trees down. I just kind of thought to myself, how did we survive this?
But you walk down the street and 2 houses down, it's gone.
It was definitely a reality check. It was very impactful. They're evacuating people. That image. There's that barbecue place, but it ain't there no more. You know, and the little circles, okay, and the blue FEMA stuff on the houses and stuff like that. All the power poles been compromised.
It's going to be years. It's going to be years before it was back to what it was.
JR's Rib Shack on Highway 77. That's what's left of it.
You see that out in our area in the woods. These were the people who, we didn't even get counting help, after the hurricane. We were on our own, literally. There was nobody coming to clear our road for us. We had to do it ourselves.
But it was the neighbors 3 doors down that you never knew, never talked to, but you see them drive by every day, maybe wave, But everybody became one that day.
Yeah, everybody's walking around checking on each other right now.
The positive experience is knowing that, like they said, you survived. That you survived one of the worst natural disasters in American history, in the history of the world.
Things you take for granted, like streetlights and traffic lights. It was
showers.
Yeah, showers. It was probably 3 or 4 days after the storm before I saw a working traffic light. It was on, and I was like, it's a traffic light, it's on!
They described hearing the demons in the wind, hearing the hurricane, and at the height of the storm, like that's what they were talking about.
Absolutely. But then when it came to shores, Category 4, nobody expected it. Nobody expected it.
In a blink of an eye, everything could have changed. We could have lost our loved ones.
After the shock of the storm itself, next couple of days, I wondered about the bridge and a lot of the places in Mariana and, the Russ House and a lot of the older homes in Mariana. And I was really, my concerns about them because just of the age of them,
When the sun is peering through the clouds and the light.
You could have a shitty day all day, but as soon as you step out here, or you step in the Russ House, or you step on an investigation house that you're doing, that goes away, that stops.
We haven't been able to get back here since the storm. Well, it's not like them to be late. She said she'll arrive soon. I don't know what that means.
Our hands hold fast and we scratch our knees.
We made it.
But the branches take us high.
Oh! That looks like a... Ew. Yeah, okay, I'm done. I don't do bugs.
I forgot I couldn't drive it over 55, 60, break it in.
Our bodies ache with laughter. A smile steals across our faces.
It's unsettled. Things are kind of, I don't want to say turmoil, but it's unsettled would be my best description.
We have not been out since the storm.
It doesn't look like anybody's been out here.
Well, we're kind of Still trying to put our lives back together, our homes back together. Everybody that knows me knows the story about my car. I think we're almost there and we're ready to get back out and get serious about investigating again. Watching for snakes.
Yeah, you let me know if you see a snake. I'll be in the truck. Two snakes. Yeah, so she didn't end up breaking a leg. I have a hard time fitting in with people, but Susan and Tracy, it was like immediately just like clicked and seriously bugs.
I'd say it's a mess. It's definitely a mess. It really sucks. Well, had some lady come up here with her chicken. The chicken's an internet sensation, and the chicken goes all over the United States, and she brought her chicken up here and took him down there to the bridge, and we got all these pictures of him. So I know you can get down to the bridge with a chicken, no less.
Maybe a week after the storm, when I finally got my way cut out of my yard, I wondered about it, and so we went in a different way and leaped and climbed through trees and fallen debris to where we could get to where we could see it.
I mean, I'm sure those have all been cleared up. This is probably low on the...
I'm back in the saddle again.
It used to be all lined with trees, and you could clearly see it.
Yeah, but it was a lot wider.
And then back this way.
Back in the saddle again.
And then back this way. And then to the bridge. I bet you we could get down there.
I'm riding the range once more. Toting my old 44.
I mean, at least
where you sleep out every night.
So probably like here. And that's where we are.
Mariana's up there, so we got it.
Yeah.
But there was a great big wide trail all the way down. Now that's gone. I don't even know where we are in relationship to the trail.
I mean, I see a little bit of a trail further that way, but that's why we need Kenny here.
Talking 170, 160, 170 mile an hour winds. It'll mess some stuff up.
I just feel like we're not alone. What do you think?
Like I have spiders crawling on. One right there. Roaches? Nope, I'm out.
You don't like spiders?
But I believe it's because all these years of them telling the story of Elizabeth Bellamy and people coming out here and they're seeing things and they're taking pictures of things. And I think just over the years, I think it's just created this, whatever's down here.
I just feel like we're not alone.
The reason that the steel frame bridge is there is because a hurricane brought in so much rain that it washed out the previous bridge. And then there have been many, many, many hurricanes through the years. People today look at Michael and they go, well, we've never been hit by anything like this in our lifetimes.
It'll be over soon. The feeling that you have or intuition or something, I want you to stop right there and not say a word. And sure enough, everybody stops in the same spot.
It was isolated a little bit. There's been a lot of things happen through the years. Drownings in later years that took place here. So there's a lot of that and a lot of emotion associated with a lot of that. Plus, it's places where people, when you're looking at human emotion, it's places where people were proposed to. Was it Bellamy Bridge, you know?
We stopped doing that 18 years ago.
When I saw it rising above the fallen trees, I said, you know, that's a neat thing. It's part of our culture and our heritage that is still here.
Oh, great. Fantastic.
When the earth is painted indigo and the toads croak out a tune.
I think sometimes when I'm at Bellamy Bridge and I think she's watching us and she likes that we're continuing her tradition and her spirit.
To the milky light of the lantern moon.
And they'll continue to survive, and we can keep doing what we love to do.
We press our fingers to the bark and bid our last goodbye.
A positive thing to get this cleaned up like many people have done in the past, before we were even around.
So they come, and it's part of life. One day, people will be telling stories that grew out of Michael. Future historians and researchers will be, you know, researching ghost stories that grew out of it. They wanted to do a paranormal investigation, and right in the middle of the conversation about it, the guy says, "Is it okay if I take my pistol?" And I said, no, you can't take a pistol. And why would you want to take a pistol? Well, just for safety. I'm like, aren't you trying to catch something scary, you know? What are you going to do, shoot it if you know?
Yeah.
They've already been shot.
I believe I'm a natural born believer. I believe Santa Claus comes down the chimney, Christ was born in the USA, Elvis Presley is alive, Jimmy Hoffa's coming home someday. Cause I believe I'm a natural born believer. I believe. They'll understand.
This bridge, by bringing people out here with these stories, if we can say Russ House, White Oak Mansion, places like that, by doing what we do, then I'm not so worried about
catching the next great EVP or something.
Yeah, I would much rather do this.
Cause I believe I'm a natural born believer. I believe Santa Claus comes down the chimney, and if that's not enough, I believe we ought to build more timeshare condos on the Gulf. I believe I'm a natural born believer. I believe Santa Claus comes down the chimney, Christ was born in the USA, and I'll win the Florida lottery come next Saturday.
This is called Great Oaks. Great Oaks Plantation was built in 1860. It was the last antebellum home that was built ever in the South. This is an absolute gorgeous, gorgeous mansion.
In a place that stands outside of time, there are forces stronger than you and I. A current flowing under the unexamined hunger, and we're all looking at the sky. In a heart so broken down and used, there's a mystery begging for a clue. Is it truth or just a fear